For almost 2,000 years, a single scroll sat in the dark, fused into a lump of blackened charcoal, holding words no living person had ever read. Then a machine looked inside it. What emerged was not a shopping list or a forgotten poem. It read like something closer to a warning. And across the planet, in laboratories and university basements, the same thing is happening again and again. Scripts that vanished from human memory are being pulled back into the light, not by scholars bent over dusty tablets, but by algorithms that never blink. The strange part is what these recovered voices keep saying. They speak of fire, of drought, of forced silence, of things ending. And once you notice that pattern repeating across cultures that never met, you start to ask a harder question. Why were so many of these languages hidden in the first place? Consider how many writing systems still refuse to give up their secrets. The Indus script is more than 4,500 years old, scattered across what is now Pakistan and northwest India, and to this day nobody knows what a single mark means. There is no bilingual key, no equivalent of the Rosetta Stone to unlock it. It is as though someone wrote in a private cipher, smashed the only translation, and walked away forever. On Easter Island, the wooden tablets of Rongorongo carry glyphs written in a bizarre reversing pattern, one line running one way and the next flipped upside down. The people who could read it were wiped out after Europeans arrived, and now not one soul on earth can decode it. Then there is Etruscan, spoken in Italy before Rome swallowed the peninsula. We can pronounce the words. We know the alphabet perfectly. But the meaning slips through our fingers because Etruscan is a language with no living relatives, an orphan with no family to compare it to. So why are these scripts so stubborn? Age and damage are only part of it. Real decipherment needs 3 ingredients: a large pool of examples to study, some grasp of the culture behind the writing, and ideally a bilingual document that shows the same passage in a known tongue. Take those away and you are left with pure guesswork, which is exactly what the field was for centuries. That is what has changed. Artificial intelligence is not replacing the human experts. It is handing them a new pair of eyes. Feed an undeciphered script into a machine learning system and it begins measuring structure, counting how often symbols appear, tracking which ones cluster near which others. The machine is not reading in any human sense. It is spotting mathematical relationships that our brains simply cannot hold all at once. It groups symbols that behave alike, flags sequences that repeat, and guesses which marks act like verbs and which act like names, based purely on where they sit. The same technology already rewrote our understanding of texts we thought we knew. Analysis of the Dead Sea Scrolls revealed that a section long attributed to one hand was actually the work of 2 different scribes. But the truly unsettling frontier is the scrolls nobody could open at all. Rewind to the year 79, when Vesuvius buried the Roman towns of Pompeii and Herculaneum. Pompeii is the famous one with its plaster casts and frozen streets. Herculaneum, closer to the sea, was richer and quieter, and it was cooked rather than smothered, hit by superheated surges of gas and rock. In one villa, an entire library of scrolls was carbonized in an instant, turned to fragile black cylinders where ink and paper had melted into a single indistinguishable mass. Every attempt to unroll them by hand only crumbled them to dust. Scholars decided the knowledge was gone. Then came the challenge. A group of researchers and technologists offered enormous cash prizes to anyone who could read a sealed scroll without physically opening it. The method sounds like science fiction. First, high-resolution scanning captures thousands of paper-thin cross-sections of the rolled-up lump. Then software trained to detect faint differences in density hunts for traces of ink the human eye can never see, essentially chasing chemical shadows locked inside what looks like a rock. And it worked. A student became the first person in 2 millennia to read a word from inside one of these scrolls. The word meant purple, the color of royalty and power. Within months, the team had recovered thousands of Greek letters, enough to identify the author as an Epicurean philosopher who had lived a few generations before the eruption. His school openly rejected the idea that gods meddled in human lives, warned against blind obedience to rulers, and argued that fear was a tool of control. And buried in those fragments, according to people close to the project, were passages describing coming fire, imposed silence, and cycles of destruction and renewal. metaphor perhaps, but a philosopher writing about censorship and cleansing fire, whose words survived an actual firestorm, is the kind of coincidence that keeps historians awake. How does a machine even do this? The honest answer is stranger than pattern recognition alone. These systems lean on a handful of techniques working together. Language modeling trains a program on vast quantities of text until it learns not what words mean, but what tends to follow what, like a colossal autocomplete that can predict the missing piece of a broken passage. Character segmentation slices individual letters out of smeared, faded, overwritten manuscripts, isolating one shape from the visual noise the way you might pick a single voice out of a crowded room. Symbol clustering then gathers similar marks by shape and position, which is the key move for scripts like the Indus or Rongorongo, where recognizing that a cluster always appears in the same slot hints at whether it is a name, a number, or a prayer. Specialized tools push this further. One system built for cuneiform learns to link every wildly different version of the same wedge-shaped character, since scribes pressed reeds into clay differently across regions and centuries. Another, aimed at Egyptian hieroglyphs, borrows the logic of modern translation software to suggest what a damaged symbol probably was. There is an even eerier branch of this work aimed at palimpsests, manuscripts where the original writing was scraped away and painted over with something new. Sometimes that erasure was practical since parchment was precious. Sometimes it was deliberate suppression of ideas that had become dangerous. By photographing a page from dozens of angles under shifting light, software can detect the microscopic grooves left by vanished ink, ghost letters invisible to the naked eye. Paired with dueling neural networks that refine each other's guesses, the machine reconstructs erased text with unnerving accuracy. This is how a lost mathematical work by Archimedes was recovered from beneath a medieval prayer book. But not everything hidden under later writing is harmless knowledge. Some layers hold dissent, forbidden ritual, or accounts of catastrophe that someone clearly wanted forgotten. And the further you look, the more the same shadows appear. In ancient China, priests carved questions into turtle shells and ox bones, heated them until they cracked, and read the fractures as answers from the gods. Machines matching these oracle bone symbols to modern characters have revealed anxious, repeating themes: plague, famine, when to wage war, when to stay silent. In the Maya world, algorithms now segment intricate glyphs at pixel level, uncovering records of drought, betrayal, and collapse, with one recurring phrase describing a great thirsting that may have helped end the civilization. And in the hills of Hunan, women barred from education invented their own secret script, passing it through embroidery and song. When researchers trained a model on only a handful of samples, it began recovering not gentle poetry, but grief, isolation, and quiet warnings of sorrow woven into the moonlight. Across continents that never traded a single word, the machines keep surfacing the same motifs. Fire, drought, suppression, voices deliberately silenced. We assume lost languages simply faded with time. But some were overwritten by conquest, some outlawed by empires that found their teachings too dangerous, and some, it seems, were hidden on purpose by people who sensed the end approaching and wanted their knowledge to survive in a form no outsider could read. The unsettling truth is that a machine feels none of the fear that once kept these texts buried. It draws no moral lines and pauses at no warning. It simply keeps reading letter by letter, code by code. The only real question left is whether we are truly prepared for the moment one of these forgotten voices finally